one of my favorite strategies. This strategy involves swing trade using RSI 1 hour. I will break this video into 3 parts. The first part is I'll give you guys a breakdown, overview of what this strategy is about. Second part is I will go over examples, how I would normally execute a trade. And then the third part is we'll review some of my results. In fact, I'll take one of my Apple trading results earlier from this year and show how I was able to apply this strategy. There are 7 total steps. So just at a high level, the first thing you want to do is to check the RSI daily. Make sure the RSI, relative strength index, is less than 65. If it passes this criteria, then we move on to number 2. If it doesn't, we move on to the next stock. So let's assume that this stock we're looking at, the RSI at the daily candlestick level is less than 65. The second question I ask myself is the RSI 1 hour less than 30? This is important because we are planning to buy shares or options for something where the moving average is below value. So if it meets criteria number 2, we move on to the third step. That's where we'll prepare the enter strategy. So let me switch over to TradingView and I'll show you guys what I mean by this. I have TradingView set up. I have a filter on Apple. AAPL is the ticker. Now notice I have this line chart. This line chart doesn't really give us much info about what happened during the day. So for us to paint a better picture, I would recommend changing this line chart to a candlestick. So let's go ahead and change the chart type to candles. Normally I would use the regular candlesticks. I know there's different ones like hollow candlesticks, volume. 9 hour 10 time, I would say stick with the regular candlesticks. The first thing you want to do is to add a filter on daily interval. So right now we're looking at the daily candlestick. I have my RSI on the lower screen here. When I hover my mouse cursor on it, it shows 44.05. That means for Apple, the RSI at the daily candlestick level is less than 65. So this would be a good candidate. So it passed our first criteria. Second criteria is to check the RSI at the 1 hour level. So let's go ahead and add a filter at 1 hour. At 1 hour, when I hover my mouse cursor, is our RSI below 30? Right now is no. But if we were to go back to November 11th, Monday morning when the stock market opened, Apple RSI 1 hour was below 30. So this would be a great time for someone to get in on the trade. RSI is just another moving averages, just like your SMA, EMA 50, your MACD. There's so many moving averages. So this is where dollar cost average comes in play. Let's say around 9:30 a.m. when the stock market opened, Apple moving averages appears to be low. It was below 30. This is where I would bring my spreadsheet out. So this is an example I've set up for Apple on one of my previous trades. For Apple, the large cap itself is too expensive for me to buy the share. So a lot of times with these large cap, I would rather buy call options or leverage ETF. But for this Apple, I happen to purchase some call options. So, let's say my budget was $6,750. I went ahead and looked for the nearest market value price of what Apple option is going for. So let's just say this is an option that's like 1 month out for Apple. And if I buy at the strike price, it's $625, right? So I set some kind of math calculation where, how much more can Apple drop? So rather than me buying all at once with my total budget of $6,750, I spread it out. This same strategy could be applied for options, shares, but you would have to apply some math to almost try your best to guesstimate the lowest price that Apple could potentially fall under. So for options, I set something up like this. For every time the options drop by a quarter, these are contracts are measured by 100 shares. That's why I'm showing $625. If you buy the options itself, a lot of broker will display as $6.25. So I basically did a decrement of 25 cents or $25. So I said, okay, let me set 2 limit orders at $625. If it dropped by another $25, I'll buy 2 more at $600. If it drops by another $25, I'll buy 2 more. So this is my simple strategy, right? I would allocate it based on some kind of spread. Now, sometimes I would also do this. Rather than me giving a fixed quantity, let's say my budget is $8,800. On my very last two or maybe the second half of the lots, I'll make sure to allocate a higher number. That way, my weighted average, the cost is around a lower number. This will lower your average price. So if I were to implement something like this, buying Apple call options 1 month out would average around $553. No one can predict the future, but there are ways for us to, I guess, set up some kind of edge to give us, that guesstimate lowest prices possible. So once we set up our limit orders, the next step is to wait. Sometimes your limit orders get executed right away. Sometimes it may continue to hit your execution, maybe by hours, maybe by within minutes. But whatever the case is, a lot of time when I have these limit orders set up, I'll wait throughout the day and see whichever ones gets executed. The other thing that I want to mention is I understand that not everyone has time to sit at their computer and wait for a certain RSI to reach. There is a way to alert yourself. So assuming you have TradingView or some broker to offer this, so go ahead and right click on your RSI line, add alert on RSI, and on here, make sure the symbol is correct. Check your condition, which is RSI, and make sure that you have the 1 hour RSI selected. And right here is where you can say crossing. This is what I normally use. If it crosses 30, maybe you prefer 25, but normally I would go with 30 because we'll have a lot of limit orders set up. If it goes below 30, we'll end up buying more. So I'll do something like this. Set a limit order, create, and then you just wait. A lot of time, large cap stocks, especially S&P 500, they move back to the moving average price a lot quicker than some, let's say, penny stocks or a small cap stocks. So if we were to look at Apple throughout the day, see how Apple actually went below as low as $221.50. And then later during the afternoon time, even after market hours, it appears to go back up to now $224 level. So this is what I mean by RSI. A lot of time, it's just moving averages. So Apple would have been a great candidate for someone to apply this swing trade using RSI 1 hour. And next, I'll show you guys some of my results. The last time I made money off Apple was on November 7th. I made $17.61. So I'll show you guys an example of where I apply this swing trade using RSI 1 hour. Let's go ahead and select March 21st, 2024. I made $1,143. That's about a 7% increase. On Tradezella, there's an executions tab. So this is really similar to the spreadsheet that I displayed earlier, where I have 25 cents decrement. It's something like this here, right? I basically set up my Apple call option strategy on a spreadsheet. I calculated how much money I'm willing to risk, and I did a 25-cent spread. So most of these were 25-cent spread. Some of these were 20-cent spread. So basically, I ended up buying 34 Apple contracts. I sold it on April 11th. March 21st, I did most of my purchases. March 26th, March 28th, I ended up buying more Apple call options. The same strike price, same expiration date. And then I later sold it on April 11th of this year. Netted $1,190. Swing trade using RSI 1 hour works for me. I have many examples where I performed this strategy. For step selling, it's important to lock in profit, especially for options. If option doesn't go your way, you have to close it out. That's why it's important. If you are going to swing trade options, make sure you buy something where you have enough time, like 1 month out, maybe 60 days, 100 days. Buy something where there's enough time for you to get it right. If someone is going to buy the leverage ETF, which I would recommend as well. In fact, if you are going with leverage ETF, I would recommend AAPL. AAPL is another way to swing trade Apple without buying Apple shares or buying Apple call options. AAPL is the leverage ETF 2X. In fact, I probably make some money off AAPL as well. Last trade was done on October 9th, 2024, $30.40. My biggest flip was on July 26, 2024, $111.81. Let me switch back to step number 7, which is to lock in profit. There's really no right or wrong profit. It's whatever you're comfortable with making. I know some people prefer percentages. Me personally, I prefer dollar amounts. So if I see like a nice $50, $100, it really depends on how much time I'm holding it for. If I held the options or shares for like 1 week, probably aim for a higher dollar amount. Now, if I close it on the same day or the day later, I'll probably go for a small amount, right? It's really no right or wrong way. It's whatever that you're comfortable with. That's all I have. I hope this video was useful. Please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.